this took me like 30 years to figure out, and I figured it out on this tour. So imagine, you do something new, and that's informative, right? There's information in the action, and then you can incorporate that information and turn it into a skill and turn it into a transformation of your perceptions. So there's more to you because you tried something new. So that's one thing. The second thing is, if you put yourself in a new situation, then new genes code for new proteins and build new neural structures and new nervous system structures. Same thing happens to some degree when you work out, right? Because your muscles are responding to the load, but your nervous system does that too. So you imagine that there's a lot of potential you locked in your genetic code. And then if you put yourself in a new situation, then the stress, that's the situational stress that's produced by that particular situation, unlocks those genes and then builds new parts of you. And so that's very cool, because who knows how much there is locked inside of you. The world's full of suffering, and you should accept that as your responsibility, past, present, and future. You're supposed to do something about that, as much as you can about it. You're not a victim of that, but you're the potential solution to that. If you can face the malevolence and you can face the suffering, then that opens the door to your maximal potential. Although the suffering is great and the malevolence is deep, your capacity to transcend it is stronger. So what you get out of the most negative viewpoint is the most positive possible consequence. Because one of the things you'd like to know, if you wanted to know something deep about yourself, is that you could face the worst that there was and prevail. You have to find that thin edge where you're competent at what you're doing, but you're pushing yourself. That's going to be where meaning lies. That's what meaning tells people. It says you're on the edge where you're competent and out of undue danger, but pushing yourself enough so that you're continually developing. But you're right on that edge, and that's the place of maximal gain. And that sense of meaning, that's what puts you on the border between chaos and order. Right? Because too much order means you're just practicing what you already know. And then you stultify and stagnate. And too much chaos means you better look out, because you're going to hurt yourself. You're pushing yourself beyond your limits. You stay right on that edge. That's where there's maximal meaning. Now, one of the things I recommend to young people, especially true for people in their 20s, is that you should push yourself beyond your limits of tolerance in your 20s to find out where it is. How much can you work? How disciplined can you become? Like, can you work 12 hours a day? Can you work 8 hours a day? Can you work 3 hours a day? Like, flat out. Where's your limit? And how much work can you do, and how much socialization? You should find out. Push yourself past, and then back off to that point where it's optimally sustainable. You can undermine your sense of meaning and you can question it, but the best thing to do is to actually pay attention to when it manifests itself, because it's a phenomenon like color or like love or like beauty. It exists. It isn't something you create. It's something that you discover, and you can discover. You just have to watch yourself for 2 weeks. Just watch like you don't know who you are, and notice when you're doing something that you're engaged in. It's like you'll see, maybe it's only 10 minutes because your life is pretty out of balance, but you'll see that, oh man, I was engaged in something there for 10 minutes. It's like, why? What did you do that was right, that engaged you? You were in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing for a few minutes. You wander into paradise now and then when you're engaged, when you're deeply engaged in something, but you don't notice it. You don't think, oh, look, I'm in the right place and everything's working out right now. It means I've got it right somehow. And then I need to practice being there more and more and more. You find what you need where you least want to look. Power is not the best strategy to attain success. It's simply not. It doesn't even work for chimpanzees, because the brute chimps, the ones that rule purely as a consequence of force, as soon as they weaken two subordinates that are reciprocally engaged, so that have a friendship, tear them into pieces. So I don't care how strong you are. 3 guys that are like 2/3 your strength are going to take you out. So you're much better situated in society and in your life if you're in an interactive network of reciprocally beneficial relationships. That works in games, but it also works in life. Hypercompetence and the capacity for genuine reciprocity, that makes you unstoppable.